Welcome back to the Scrubdom, everybody. So I did pose the question in the Discord, and this is what people apparently voted on. I'm just going to give a quick recap. So we've passed over about 200 cycles, and I've gotten a lot done. There's a couple of different things I started working on. Let's start on one that I'm somewhat familiar with before anything. We have to do that. We have to go to the other Planetoid. Just to give everybody a quick heads up, I did also include another mod. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the last video or not. This mod is just a really big zoom out mod. It lets you zoom out really far just so you can see the entire colony. But let's go with a system that I am somewhat familiar with real quick. Well, actually two systems. I have two set up on this planet. Oil wells. This system does take a little bit of a work to actually get up and running. You usually need a little bit of starter oil that you can find within your oil biome, which this Planetoid actually had a really big oil biome, and I was kind of surprised. There's actually still a little bit of fossil in here I need to get at. But typically they'll look like just this, just oil reservoirs. There's also the other one, I can't remember exactly what it's called. Once you get down to the oil reservoirs, you actually need to make sure to stick an oil well on them. Oil wells do require a little bit of duplicant labor, so you will have to keep at least a duplicant on the Planetoid. And you want to make sure that it's pretty contained. They can function underwater, and this right here shows that it needs to be emptied. In fact, it's disabled currently by the automation grid because I've got because I set up a lot of automation. You need a lot of automation for this. At least I need a lot of automation for this because I'm not that smart. So the red bar here indicates when a duplicate needs to come in and empty it of the natural gas in the area. You can capture this natural gas, which as you can see I have with the gas pump here made of steel because it gets real hot in here. Yeah, we're dealing with temperatures about 83°C, and it can just get hotter. For the gas pump, I'm just pumping all of the natural gas that comes through out up into the natural gas generator. I'm taking the polluted water and sending it up into my polluted water system. It's nothing really too huge. The bigger part is trying to figure out where you want your oil levels to be and how you want everything to be pumped in. Oil wells do require water. I remember correctly, it requires about 1,000 grams of water, as much as a electrolyzer. So you need to make sure you have a lot of water coming in, which luckily we do have a lot of water on the other Planetoid, but you want an area for the water to come in and you need an area for the oil to come out. Now you could just slap the oil well on it and just let it run, but eventually you'll get so full of natural gas that duplicants can't really be down here without atmos suits. To be fair, they can't really go in here without atmos suits. Oil biomes tend to just be really hot in general. The ventilation is simple. I've got multiple pipes set up because I've got 3 running. I'm thinking of setting up a 4th and 5th, but that is 5,000 grams of water a second. I think I'm good with 3 right now. Automation is a little bit different. So I've got 2 hydro sensors and an atmos sensor. The atmos sensor tells the gas pump to turn on if it's ever above 1,500 grams of natural gas pressure. And that's just going to help empty it out. It's going to keep it to a nice stable base. The hydro sensors, this top one here is actually linked to the oil well, and it tells the oil well to stop producing oil if it ever detects there's 300 grams here. And then the bottom hydro sensor is linked to the liquid pump, telling the liquid pump to turn on if there's ever more than 100 grams here. The only reason it's not running is, well, I'm pretty backed up on oil. My oil reservation system is not very good. I have it on the other Planetoid, and I'm going to start working on another system here soon to get that up and running. Until I can get a petroleum boiler running, I'm just going to use a oh god, what's it called? An oil refinery. Now with oil refineries, you have to remember you only actually get 50% of the petroleum back from the oil that you put in, and the rest gets turned into natural gas. So you also kind of want to make sure your duplicants have atmos suits. I also need to get a glass forge up and running, but we'll deal with that in a moment. Okay. Oil systems like this are really easy to get installed. It just takes a lot of steel. Typically, if you can get one of these up and running, you can get oil and petroleum like crazy. And one reason oil is also really good is they make for really good coolant loops. Oil doesn't freeze until -40°C. So you could use this as a coolant loop to go all the way down to, say, like 30°C. Actually, wait, your error range is 14 degrees. So probably about -20°. Petroleum is even better because petroleum can go down to 57.1 degrees Celsius. Sorry, -57.1 degrees Celsius. This is one of the better coolants if you're trying to create some sort of coolant loop. The other little system I set up over here is I just created a little slickster ranch. We have a carbon dioxide vent here, which outputs at 500 degrees C. But once it settles, it starts settling into about the 100-degree range. And this is perfect because slicksters have a livable range of up to 140 degrees C, but a comfortable range of 140. And they consume the carbon dioxide and put out more oil. So I can eventually just also use this oil. But the big thing that I'm hoping it transforms into is the molten slickster. Molten slicksters are just better. If you have the chance to get molten slicksters, go for molten slicksters. They're just like slicksters, but they have a much larger range that they can survive up to 270. They have a comfort range of up to 250. But they excrete petroleum. And actually a decent sizable amount of meat. I'm hoping this slickster lays a molten slickster egg. I need to actually get a rancher over here, or turn one of the two dupes on this side into a rancher. Aside from that, the only thing the duplicants have been doing here is just sweeping up everything and sending it over to the other planetoid. The only things that don't get swept up are the things that I know I need. They're constantly pretty low on kilocalories. I did send over some mealwood to keep them alive. I also made a couple of mistakes here and nearly losing a couple of the duplicants. I'll probably mostly have these guys feeding off of slicksters and pips once I get the pip ranch up and running. I'll probably also finish, I also need to finish a hatch ranch up here. I'm thinking a hatch and pip ranch. I also need to rework my Poca Shell ranch. So if we go over to the main planetoid, as you can see, I'm not doing too well on Poca Shells. My little supply here is gone. The other little system I don't think I ever mentioned, I set up a polluted water vent capture. It's really simple. It's just like all the other vents so far. You could pretty much make this out of anything. I made it out of steel. It didn't need to be made out of steel. Honestly, I could go in and change that. I probably should go in and change that. This puts out at 30 degrees C. It's never going to get too warm in there. Like, it itself is going to get warm, but none of this is ever really going to overheat. You could probably make all of this out of iron. The hydro sensor here, if it's ever above 500 kilograms, the other mistake I made is I should have actually put this one down, so if it ever detects there's 500 kilograms here, because I actually had to turn this pretty much off. I've had to several times put it below 500 kilograms. It'll turn on. So don't make the same mistake I did. Put this one lower, just so it detects on the base floor, so it sucks it up. But it's brought up a ton of water, but as you can see, it's got a ways to travel up to get in here. And it just kind of cuts right over. The desalinator is actually doing good, but this is also where I made another mistake. I have a liquid tepidizer in my brine pool. I forgot to turn it off when it was empty, and it overheated this liquid pump. But it got so hot in there, like I think it got up to about 100 degrees in this area, and you can see the heat spread out a bit. So don't make this mistake. Don't make the mistake I made. I actually had to shut the entire system off, and I'm having to let the really cold, like, I believe it's output at negative 10 degrees C come in and just drop into this pit just to try to cool it off. And it's working. It's working really well. If I wanted to cool it off faster, I'd put in some temp shift plates made of ice. As for the last system I started working on an industrial area. I've never made an industrial area before. I know the functionality of it. I know kind of how it works. I have these aqua tuners here, and their entire purpose is for keeping just these steam turbines cooled. That leads to my first problem, though. I forgot to set up the radiant pipes back here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in and fix that. I did fill the room with hydrogen. I could probably put a little bit more in. I put in about 450. I probably could have got about 500 grams per tile. The reason being is hydrogen does not transfer its heat very quickly. You'll notice it has a thermal conductivity of 0.168, where this thermal aqua tuner made of steel has a thermal conductivity of 54. This is a pretty good thermal conductivity. It's just the rate it exchanges temperature with the environment. Gases never have a good thermal. Liquids and metals have pretty good thermal conductivities. I put in my standard double liquid lock with a vacuum here, so any amount of heat this crude oil gets doesn't get exchanged with the outside area. And then I vacuumed out the entire space. And then I put a layer of water down, about 300 kilograms of water per tile. And what I'm waiting on is this volcano to kick in, which it kicks in 33 and a half cycles. Because I'm going to create a dropper. The plan is to create a lava blade. So the lava is going to come out and drop through here, and then it's going to spread about 10 tiles, and it's going to contact this mechanized airlock. This is mostly going to be for creating igneous rock. As you can see, we actually have some in here, but the igneous rock is really, really hot. We're talking 800 degrees Celsius. You don't want that in your base. Like, that right there will kill your base. Even this carbon dioxide is sitting up in the 700 to 800 degrees. But that's why we're turning this into a steam room. And all that igneous rock is going to get dropped right here through a series of events. When this room detects that it's ambient temperature, and the idea is that if it's ever below 125, and it's going to be detected from two sides, both set up by steel automation, it's going to go into this AND gate. When it detects that, it'll open up this door and let a piece of lava drop in. And honestly, I should probably swap this out for a timer sensor as well, thinking about it. I'll worry about that later. I want to see if the system works. After the lava drops in, I want the mechanized airlock to close. I probably have this set up wrong, but I'm hoping it's set up right because it should just drop a little bit in here. And this is also made out of steel and a steel mesh metal tile. The heat from the lava will be exchanged into the metal tile against the water, and it should start to superheat the water to create steam, to create a steam room. And that's also why I have these steam turbines here. That steam is going to create our atmosphere. The steam turbines are a great way of deleting heat. If they detect the steam is ever above, I want to say it takes like, oh, actually, it's just so right there. It has to be at least 125 degrees Celsius in order for it to produce power. What it does, it'll suck up the steam, convert it into power, deleting some of the heat. But in doing so, it also has to have an output. And as you can see, I have them bridged on so it drops the water back in. So this water should never actually fully leave the room. But these steam turbines can get real hot. I'm gonna either put oil in here for now. I'd love to either use petroleum or supercoolant, but supercoolant I've never gotten. It's gonna constantly cool down. I'm going to probably say if it's ever, I want it to be pretty cool in there. So if it's ever above, say, 30 degrees Celsius, I don't know if that's a good number, but that's what I'm gonna try. It'll kick on the aqua tuner. Like I've shown you guys the aqua tuner before. If it detects that it's 30 degrees, higher than 30 degrees Celsius, it turns the aqua tuner on, it goes in through the input, comes out through the output, dropping by about 14 degrees, cycles around, cools it off. If it detects that it's below the 30 degrees Celsius, the aqua tuner just shuts off and it bypasses. And that's why you want to make sure you have a bypass system like this. It's simple. You just let the input have a way in and a way out real quickly, and you just automate the aqua tuner to turn on and off. As for the temp shift plates in the background, each one of these, when it gets really warm in here, will act like a little battery. Temp shift plates, even though it's made out of igneous rock, has a really good thermal conductivity. And the reason I chose igneous rock is because it has a really good melting point of 1400 degrees Celsius. I think the hottest it ever needs to get in this room is about 300 to 350 degrees Celsius, because this is also where I'm going to put all of the industrial equipment, such as our metal refinery, our kiln, and our rock crusher. The only other thing that I've been working on, and this really isn't like a project, more as just getting something set up, is I'm creating a duplicant living area. I'm getting a bunch of cots set up. I need to make sure to get some good radiation, which I'm also using igneous rock, because igneous rock has a decent blocking rate of 60%. And I'm going to make sure this is entirely blocked. Down here, I'm using igneous rock for the top, but then I'm also using some granite and some carpeted tiles. Carpeted tiles give your duplicants a very small buff that reduces stress. It's also very cold up here, so I'm eventually going to have to warm it up, but that's okay, because that's where the oxygen system is going to come in. I don't know. I'm probably going to keep the oxygen system here, but this is where I plan for the duplicants to live. I've got 2 mess halls being created. I'm probably going to turn this into the kitchen, And I'll probably create a cooling loop system in here for 2 reasons. I want to create a deep freeze. But yeah, so that's everything that happened in the last 200 or so cycles. And let's hope going forward I don't run into any more problems. But I think before we leave for today, there's only one thing left to do. Pick a new printable. Oh no. I love plug slugs, but they are dangerous. I don't think I'm going to go with the plug slug, but this auto, I'm going to get the auto. I just need to get auto a name. All right, everybody, welcome to the colony. Boom, para. Oh man, I hate myself sometimes. At least we're kind of caught up now. I need to get that industrial district running. That's all for a later time frame, and I'm hoping that by the time this video comes out, it should be New Year's. God, we've already gone through another year. And you know what I still haven't done, everybody? I still haven't done a 100 subscriber special. I still owe that to all of you, especially since we actually just reached 109 subscribers the other day. We're growing slowly, but we are growing. Honestly, I'm just going to make sure that we keep growing. I just enjoy doing this. I really do. I just enjoy getting to make videos for you all, chatting with everybody. Also, for anyone who's not part of the Scrubdom Discord, come join the Scrubdom Discord. You don't have to sign up for nothing else, just have a Discord membership. We get pretty weird in there sometimes. And typically that's where my videos get posted for people to actually learn that they're coming out. But going forward, starting next month, I'm going to make it a regular thing. I've had about 2 now, almost 3, but I ended up not feeling too well, so I canceled the 3rd one, of Scrubdom game nights. It's not something that's going to be streamed, might not even be recorded. It's just a chance to get to hang out and, well, chat with people who are part of the Scrubdom Discord and people who watch my videos and play games. Typically, because of the number of people, it'll probably end up being Among Us. But I want to do at least one of those every single month. Whether it be the first week of every month or the last week of every month, I haven't really quite decided yet. I'm still working out some details. I'm also going to be working out some details with Austin going forward to get more videos up and coming. Especially since here soon, Final Fantasy VII Part 2 is coming out, and I need to finish Final Fantasy VII Part 1. Honestly, I might just beat rush through the rest of the game, send him all the content, tell him, make whatever you want, and see what happens. But hey, we've had a pretty good 2023. Let's hope for a better 2024. But always remember, until next time, don't scrub out.